So I think one common misconception that I hear a lot is that NFPA codes and standards are developed by NFPA staff, and that is not true. NFPA codes and standards are developed through the NFPA standards development process, and each code and standard is developed by a technical committee, which is created by volunteers, or in some cases, multiple technical committees, which will create and then maintain that document through editing through its revision cycle. And the public is encouraged to submit inputs to the technical committee when they're going to update update their document. And because of that, I want to run through real quick what that process looks like. I'm going to put a link below to the website that I'm using here, actually. And this is our website here, which goes over the NFPA standards development process. You can read a whole lot more on this process, but I'm going to go really quick over how you can be part of this process. So when a document is in its revision cycle, you basically have a first draft, a second draft, and then it's going to go to the technical meeting, which is in front of all the membership, and then it can become a standard. And the first thing is that the public can submit a public input on a change that they want to be made to a document. The committee is then going to meet. They're going to have a first draft meeting. They have to review all the public inputs. They have to provide either create a first revision or provide a response on why they're not going to create that. That goes into a first draft report. The public then has the ability to create comments on any of the first revisions that were made or any of the responses to the public inputs. And then that goes to a second draft meeting, which the technical committee is going to meet. They're going to go over all of those public comments. Again, they either have to respond to that public comment or create a second draft. Once that is done, the second draft all the changes get balloted and the second draft gets created. One more sort of bite at the apple that the public gets is the ability to make a NITMAM, which is a notion of intent to make a motion. And without getting into too much detail, it's basically the ability of the public to come up in front of the entire NFPA membership at our technical meeting, which occurs the Thursday of every year at our conference and expo, where the entire membership gets to vote on any of the changes going into these standards. So you could create a motion on the floor that the whole NFPA membership gets to vote on. Then that goes through the technical meeting, gets voted on at that point. And then the final bit is that, once all that happens, then the Standards Council will either issue the document at that point, or somebody might come up and be able to make an appeal that potentially maybe the standards development process wasn't followed for some specific change, but that's what occurs there. So basically you've got 3 good times in which you could make suggest a change to the technical committee in which a change that you want to be made. So again, NFPA staff, we're not the ones that are making the changes on these. We do have staff liaisons that are helping these technical committees to make these changes. But again, technical committees are made up of volunteers, of people in the industry that are doing these changes, not NFPA staff. But we do highly encourage, and I think the standards development process relies on the public, the people who are using these documents, to submit these changes. So again, I'll put a link below. You can go ahead and read more about the standards development process if you're interested in that. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks.